Thanks for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I am Amir Budnam. Now the news from the world channels. GMT 700 March 12, 2024. Immigrant situation at Mexico and Guatemala on border. Countries surrounding Haiti are meeting to discuss the Haiti future. Ramadan is started, but there is no end in war in Gaza. More than 30,000 have died in Gaza. UN Secretary General appealed to Hamas and Israel to stop fighting for the Ramadan. New Jersey Senator in court. Trump is trying to delay the trial. US Secretary stepped down. Social media storm on Prince's photo. Solo around the world. Oscar nominations and winners. On Wall Street, Dow Jones up, Nasdaq and S&P 500 down. I am thankful to all news resources. Now the news in detail. GMT 700 March 12, 2024. Immigrant situation
on this Monday night, Alberta's political scene gets a jolt. Former Calgary Mayor Naheed Nenshi is running to be NDP leader with his sights set on the Premier.
Together, we can beat Danielle Smith and the UCP.
His challenges ahead. Starvation marks the start of the holy month of Ramadan in Gaza, while a ceasefire is still off the table. The cold, hard facts about a dangerous time of year in Canada.
You can see my heart rate has shot up, and my skin temperature is dropping.
What you should do if you fall through the ice, and the mistake many people make. And far from perfect.
Looks like they've been using software too.
The edited family photo, who's responsible, and how it's adding to conspiracy theories.
Social media storm.
Global National with Donna Freezing.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. A big political development in Alberta. The former mayor of Calgary, who never joined a political party when he was in civic politics, says it is time to choose a team. Naheed Nenshi is seeking the leadership of the Alberta NDP, hoping to replace Rachel Notley, who announced in January that she's stepping down. But his real target is Premier Danielle Smith, whose United Conservative Party Nenshi has called incompetent and dangerous. Heather Yorks West has our top story tonight.
I'm Naheed Nenshi, and I'm running to be leader of the Alberta NDP in your next region.
Calgary's former mayor is returning to politics, swapping his trademark purple, a mix of liberal red and conservative blue, for the NDP orange.
I've never seen anything like this. A government this incompetent, a government this dangerous, this immoral. And I realized that I got to get engaged in whatever way I can.
As a three-term mayor, Nenshi has a history in politics, but he has a history with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, too. The two go back to their time as students at the University of Calgary in the early 90s. Last month at a rally protesting the United Conservative Party's proposed parental rights policy, Nenshi began fueling speculation of a leadership bid when he went on the attack.
And I remember saying to them, Danielle Smith is many, many things. She's not a hater. I hate that.
I think that's a major driving force behind why Nenshi is entering the race. I don't think it's ideological. I don't think it's political. I think it's really personal.
It definitely amplifies the sense of drama involved, and I think some folks in the Premier's office are kind of salivating out the opportunity to have those battles.
That's really the message.
Nenshi will, of course, need to win the leadership race first, and that may not be an easy task.
His path to victory is to sell membership to people who are not already in the party, because Nenshi himself is not a member of the party.
Please go to nenshi.ca to buy your Alberta NDP membership.
Nenshi's late entry means he has no time to waste. Supporters must be registered with the NDP by April 22nd to vote in the leadership contest, a race both the NDP and UCP supporters will be watching closely.
I think the UCP sees some opportunity, but they'll be facing a serious threat in Nenshi if he is successful.
And Heather is with me from Calgary. Heather, how likely is Nenshi to win the NDP leadership?
Yeah, well, some see him as a front. Will not be a slam dunk. He is an outsider to the party, facing off with some strong candidates, 4 of them women currently serving in the Alberta NDP caucus. Now, to be successful, Nenshi will need to do what Danielle Smith did on the right, which is appeal to the party base, in his case, those die-hard traditional NDP supporters on the left, while also reaching out to the centre, where the NDP's shot at forming another government ultimately lies.
Okay, Heather Yorks West in Calgary, thanks. Heavily armed gangs in Haiti are tightening their grip on that country, even taking control of Haiti to try to solve the spiraling crisis. Canada's ambassador to the UN and the American Secretary of State both took part. While they talk, more Haitians are dying or being forced to flee their homes, and close to 3,000 Canadians are stranded. Mackenzie Gray is following the story for us tonight.
Chaos and crime overrunning the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince, where the UN now says 15,000 people have been displaced over just the past week. Gangs calling for the ouster of Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry in control of nearly the whole city, leading to an emergency meeting of Caribbean and North American leaders.
Strong and decisive action owned by the people of Haiti must be taken to stem the seed of lawlessness and hopelessness before it is too late.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau joining virtually in a meeting that ran over 5 hours behind schedule.
We're close to resolving it, but there's still more work to do, and Canada will continue to be there with financial contributions, humanitarian contributions.
Trudeau also speaking with Prime Minister Henry, who's stuck in Puerto Rico after gangs took over Haiti's main airport. The Prime Minister was in Kenya, following a UN security force that now has no safe way to get in or out.
Kenya is a lead nation, but there are so many other countries that have pledged to contribute troops.
Canada is not one of those countries, despite heavy pressure from the US for years to send troops and police to quell the violence.
It's like a patient that is on the table at the emergency, and doctors are still discussing what they should do with the patient. You can say, well, at the end of the day, you have to do something.
But what the answer is still isn't clear. For Justin Trudeau and many Haitians say the solution needs to be developed internally.
We're not asking you to send food, money. You know, the websites of the Canadian government always says, we just sent X billions of dollars to Haiti. We're not asking for that.
So far this year, the number is $123 million from the Canadian government to help with security, but that won't help get the nearly 3,000 Canadians trapped inside Haiti out, Donna, with Global Affairs ruling out evacuation.
Mackenzie in Ottawa, thanks. A ship loaded with food intended for people in Gaza is still stuck at a port in Cyprus because of what's being described as technical difficulties. The charity leading the mission, the World Central Kitchen, says the vessel is carrying 180 metric tons of food, water, and supplies. With the
UN Secretary General appealed to Hamas and Israel to stop fighting for the Ramadan. New Jersey Senator in court. Trump is trying to delay the trial. U.S. Secretary stepped down. Social media is calm on Prince's photo. Solo around the world. Oscar nominations and winners. On Wall Street, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, and S&P 500 down.
And the release of hostages from Hamas.
My strongest appeal today is to honor the spirit of Ramadan, silencing the guns.
There is no light. The situation in Gaza is only growing more desperate by day. As the pace of airdrops increases, Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry reports at least 25 people have now died of starvation. The death toll has surpassed 31,000.
We can't let Hamas survive.
Yet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to press ahead with a military invasion of Rafah, where hundreds of thousands are still sheltering.
It's either Israel or Hamas. There's no middle way. I mean, we have to have that victory. We can't have 3/4 of a victory. We can't have 2/3 of a victory.
Those comments were a direct response to U.S. President Joe Biden.
I want to see a ceasefire.
Over the weekend, he suggested an invasion of Rafah would cross a red line.
You cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead as a consequence of doing that. There's other ways to deal with the trauma caused by Hamas.
But Biden's words appear to be an empty threat. The president said he would not suspend military aid to Israel under any circumstances. Back in the camp, they can only wait for a break in the fighting that may never come. We don't want aid, what we want is a ceasefire. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has made it clear what he thinks will happen with Ukraine should former President Donald Trump be elected president again. In an interview on Hungarian TV, Orban said Trump will not give a penny to Ukraine's fight against Russia and that if the Americans don't give money and weapons, the war's over. On Friday, Orban met Trump privately at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Trump has promised he'd end Russia's war on Ukraine within 24 hours if he wins the presidency. On his trip to the U.S., Orban did not meet President Joe Biden at the White House, a highly unusual move for a visiting head of state. On Saturday, Biden accused Donald Trump of sucking up to dictators and authoritarian thugs all around the world. A picture worth more than 1,000 words, coming up the firestorm over the Royals' Photoshop fail. Plus, it was Oppenheimer's night at the Oscars.
Hamas and Israel to stop fighting for the Ramadan.
I cannot say it often enough that it is by coming together that we create the best chances for our world and the lives of people everywhere.
That is King Charles. He celebrated Commonwealth Day with a video message to Westminster Abbey, urging Commonwealth countries like Canada to find more ways to solve global issues together. The King didn't appear in person. He stepped away from attending public functions after his cancer diagnosis in early February. The Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, also stepped back from public duties after having abdominal surgery in January. The palace made it clear she was not seriously ill and is taking time to recuperate, but that has not stopped a flood of conspiracy theories. Kate herself released a family photo on British Mother's Day, hoping perhaps to put those conspiracy theories to rest, but then photo agencies quickly retracted it, saying it had been digitally altered. Redmond Shannon reports on how the royal rumor mill is spinning again.
Prince William arrives at Westminster Abbey alone, his wife Catherine still recovering and likely from the publicity storm over that photo. The UK Mother's Day family portrait pulled from circulation by photo news agency Sunday over suspicions it was photoshopped. The Princess of Wales apologised on Monday for what she called her experiment with editing.
UN Secretary General appealed to Hamas and Israel to stop fighting for the Ramadan.
And
New Jersey Senator in court.
He says it doesn't appear that changes made were trying to fool anyone.
So I think what's happened is 3 or 4 photographs have been taken in succession and they've been somehow spliced together. It looks like they've been using software to do that.
In the age of AI and selfie filters, that would be no big deal. But this is a photo of a future queen who hasn't made a public appearance this year.
The communications staff at Kensington Palace, the Keystone cops, they had to have known. I mean, this would have crossed the line with the news agencies. And it also threw gasoline on the bonfire of all conspiracy theories.
Many of those theories are, of course, absurd. But with this new twist, predictably, the internet had some light-hearted fun. From job openings to lunar landings and even Larry the Cat on Downing Street.
The apology from the princess is unlikely to quell those conspiracy theories online, at least until she appears in public again. That is not expected until next month at the earliest. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Still ahead, how to stay calm and survive if you fall through thin ice.
In Gaza. More than 30,000 have died in Gaza.
In BC and Alberta, there were two dangerous avalanches with two different outcomes on Sunday. On Mount Seymour, north of Vancouver, a woman was rescued after she was buried upside down by an avalanche while snowshoeing. Rescuers say she was trapped for about 20 minutes until her companion, who dug himself out, was able to find her and dig her out. Rescue crews arrived to give them medical care. And in Alberta, a 19-year-old British Columbian has died after he and his friend were buried by an avalanche. They were backcountry skiing on Tower Peak in Kananaskis country, south of had to dig himself out. Mountain Rescue later recovered the man's body on Monday. Travelers are being urged to check the Avalanche Canada website before heading to the backcountry for any sort of winter activity. Rescue crews are reporting an increase in the number of people falling through the ice this winter. It has been an unusually mild winter in parts of Canada, and activity on rivers can be risky. With the help of experts, Jeff Semple shares a first-hand account of what it's like to fall through the ice and survive.
This winter's mild and wild temperature swings have proved deadly on the water.
We've had a lot of mild temperatures, so it becomes harder to predict the quality of the ice.
This water rescuer says this is typically the most dangerous time of the year. And it's easy to see why.
There's no safe ice. Ice at this point is all questionable.
We joined Dave Humphreys for a lesson on what to do if you fall through the ice.
Try and get your body as flat as you can, kicking your feet, and trying to pull yourself or slither up onto the surface of the ice shelf. And then once you get there, we want to stay low.
Once in the frigid water, the clock is ticking. But how long before hypothermia sets in? We came here to find out. This laboratory at Brock University studies the impact of temperatures on the human body, including extreme cold. They wire me up with sensors. This harness provides support in case my legs collapse from the cold. Then it's on.
On Wall Street, Dow Jones up, Nasdaq and S&P 500 down.
And at this point,
I am thankful to all news resources. Now the news in detail. GMT 700, March 12, 2024.
Make this mistaken belief that as soon as I fall in cold water, I'm going to die from hypothermia.
But after a couple of minutes, my heart rate and breathing relax.
I've stopped shivering. I'm talking normally now. Calm down. You will recover from that cold shock. That panic doesn't last forever.
My core temperature remains normal. So too does my grip strength.
You have about maybe 10 to 15 minutes where your muscles are still strong enough that you can kind of use them to self-rescue.
Finally, after about 25 minutes, my core temperature drops. I'm shivering again and losing strength.
I've decided I'm more of a hot tub.
The key lesson: if you fall through the ice, catch your breath, take your time, and don't panic. Just Sample Global News, St. Catharines, Ontario.
In Manitoba, dozens of animal welfare organizations have declared an overpopulation crisis. 45 animal charities and shelters released a letter today saying despite repetitive pleas for help, animal welfare organizations are not receiving adequate government support. Owing to a lack of resources, veterinary care, and food insecurity across the province, particularly in remote communities, the overpopulation has led to multiple people being mauled by dogs in the last 2 months. 6 isolated communities have responded with dog culls. Advocates are calling for funding for accessible spay and neuter programs and an action plan for addressing puppy mills and backyard breeding. Stealing the show, next, Oppenheimer takes a victory lap at the Oscars.
March 12, 2024. Immigrant situation at Mexico.
And the Oscar goes to The Last Repair Shop. Canadian talent in the spotlight at this year's Academy. Ben Proudfoot won Best Short Documentary for The Last Repair Shop, which he co-directed. It's about a Los Angeles workshop that repairs thousands of musical instruments for free, ensuring the city's public school students have playable instruments. Proudfoot told the Canadian press the win is a victory for arts and music education in Los Angeles and around the world. As expected, 2 of the box office hits, Oppenheimer and Barbie, got a lot of attention at the Oscars, but only one went home with an armful of awards. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, about the creation of the atomic bomb. Though it was a Canadian actor nominated as Best Supporting Actor, who a lot of people think stole the show. Mike Armstrong on the drama of last night's Academy Awards.
I have to go to the envelope for that. It was with a bit of awkwardness that the big night wrapped. Here it comes. Al Pacino dragging out the suspense. And I see Oppenheimer. But in the end, the picture went to the frontrunner. Almost from the day the star-studded cast was announced, Oppenheimer was pegged as a possible winner.
Wow.
It moved to probable winner when the first reviews rolled in. Director Chris Nolan says surprised him about the release was the movie's commercial success.
Starting with the release of the film in July, the response from people around the world far exceeded anything that I'd imagined possible.
Oppenheimer pulled in close to $8 billion at the box office. It finished in 3rd place for the year. But ticket sales don't mean Oscars. Not one of the Best Picture winners of the last 2 decades ranked in the box office top 10.
Cillian Murphy.
Oppenheimer took home 7 Oscars, including Best Director and Best Actor.
We made a film about the man who created the atomic bomb, and for better or for worse, we're all living in Oppenheimer's world, so I would really like to dedicate this to the peacemakers everywhere.
This is a film that is provocative and that asks questions and is challenging, but yet, so many people want to see it, so I'm really, really proud of that.
Build a town, build it fast. One thing that likely helped with the Academy was a sense that Nolan was, as the Hollywood Reporter put it, very overdue for recognition. He's had hits, but the stars only aligned on Oscar night for Oppenheimer.
This was just this perfect version of critical consensus, popular acceptance, and sort of Oscar profile, because they like period biopics.
The top movie at the box office walked away with only 1 win. Barbie took the Oscar for Best Original Song. Now, Oppenheimer and Barbie were actually released the same day last summer, while the line of the night at the Academy Awards came as 2 of the stars joked about putting their rivalry to rest.
And the way this award season's turned out wasn't that much of a rivalry, so just let it go!
I'm just kidding. The standout performance of the night came from Canadian Ryan Gosling singing another song from Barbie. Going in, there was criticism of director Greta Gerwig being snubbed, but with Barbie closing in on $1.5 billion at the box office, still plenty to celebrate. Armstrong Global News, Montreal.
That is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Air Canada is the Sheringham Point Lighthouse, a National Heritage Lighthouse on Vancouver Island. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
New Jersey Senator in court. Trump is trying to delay the trial. U.S. Secretary stepped down. Social media storm on Princess photo. Solo around the world. Oscar nominations and winners.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Bennett.
Wall Street,
And I'm Nevada.
Dow Jones up. Nasdaq and S&P 500 down. I am thankful to all news resources. Now the news in detail.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Bennett.
And I'm Amna Navaz in Chiapas, southern Mexico. On the NewsHour tonight,
GMT
we report from Mexico's border with Guatemala, where we meet migrants from around the world and a smuggler helping to move them to the United States. Why not help people to legally enter the United States?
If we help people enter illegally, then it's not a business.
Regional leaders meet to discuss the crisis in Haiti as armed gangs expand their control, moving the beleaguered nation closer to the brink of collapse. And a look at the bureaucratic burdens preventing some families living below the poverty line from accessing government aid.
UN Secretary General appealed to Hamas and Israel to stop fighting. New Jersey Senator in court.
Major funding for the PBS NewsHour has been provided by
to delay the trial. U.S. Secretary stepped down.
the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions, and friends of the NewsHour, including Leonard and Norma Glorfine, and the Judy and Peter Bloom Kofler Foundation.
Actually,
you don't need vision to do most things in life. Yes, I'm legally blind, and yes, I'm responsible for the user interface. Data visualization. If I can see it and understand it quickly, anyone can. It's exciting to be part of a team driving the technology forward. I think that's the most rewarding thing. People who know BDO.
GMT 700.
Two retiring executives turn their focus to greyhounds, giving these former race dogs a real chance to win. A Raymond James financial advisor gets to know you, your purpose, and the way you give back. Life well planned.
The William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, for more than 50 years, advancing ideas and supporting institutions to promote a better world at hewlett.org. And with the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions.
More than 30,000 have died in Gaza. UN Secretary General appealed to Hamas and Israel to stop fighting for the Ramadan. New Jersey Senator in court. Trump is trying to delay the trial. U.S. Secretary stepped
This program
down.
was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Solo around the world.
Welcome to the NewsHour. Former President Trump is moving to delay another criminal trial, this one involving hush money payments to an adult film actress. Trump lawyers said today they first want a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity. They say Mr. Trump's statements in 2018 about Michael Cohen, his former attorney, are covered by immunity. Prosecutors say they were meant to silence Mr. Cohen. The Muslim holy month of Ramadan began today with no end in sight to the war in Gaza. Instead, more relief supplies were airdropped into the region, where the desperation has deepened as hunger spread. Meantime, a Spanish ship remained in Cyprus waiting for a maritime corridor to deliver food to Palestinians. And in New York, the UN Secretary General called on both Israel and Hamas to stop fighting.
My strongest appeal today is to honor the spirit of Ramadan by silencing the guns and removing all obstacles to ensure the delivery of life-saving aid at the speed and massive scale required.
Gazan health officials say at least 25 people, mostly children, have died from malnutrition and dehydration in recent days. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez and his wife pleaded not guilty today to new obstruction of justice charges. The veteran Democrat returned to federal court in New York to enter his plea. He's already facing bribery and corruption charges in an 18-count indictment. The couple allegedly took cash and gifts from a businessman in return for help on projects they supported. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marcia Fudge, will step down next week. The former Ohio congresswoman gave no reason today, but said she's returning to private life. President Biden praised Fudge for her vision, passion, and a focus on economic opportunity. In Britain, a social media storm erupted today over a picture of Kate, the Princess of Wales, and her children. It was her first official photo since abdominal surgery in January, but it turned out to be altered. In an online posting, the princess said, quote, "Like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion." Buckingham Palace declined to release the unedited photograph. On Wall Street today, stocks mostly drifted, waiting for tomorrow's report on inflation in February. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 47 points, closed at 38,769. The Nasdaq fell 65 points. The S&P 500 lost 5. And the cast and crew of Oppenheimer are celebrating 7 Oscar wins after last night's award ceremony. The 3-hour film about the making of the atomic bomb and its creator was crowned Best Picture. Director Christopher Nolan also won his first Academy Award. The box office hit Barbie took home just 1 award for Best Original Song. The Ukraine war film, 20 Days in Mariupol, won Best Documentary. Still to come on the NewsHour, ranchers struggle to recover after devastating wildfires in Texas. Tamara Keith and Amy Walter break down the latest political headlines. And the first American woman to race a sailboat solo around the world discusses her historic trip.
Oscar
This is the PBS NewsHour from WETA Studios in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.
Secretary of State Anthony Blinken made a last-minute trip to Jamaica today for an emergency meeting of Caribbean leaders to discuss the spiraling security and humanitarian crises in Haiti. The group is looking to develop a leadership transition in Haiti as gang violence rages and the population there suffers. Here's Nick Schiffer and a note of caution. Some images in this story are disturbing.
In Haiti's capital, the gangs are in control.
Countries surrounding Haiti are meeting to discuss the Haiti future.
Thank you very much.
Ramadan is started, but there is no end in war in Gaza. More than 30,000 have died in Gaza.
We turn now to the migrant crisis that's gripping parts of the southern U.S., but has much wider implications. Here's Amna Abbas.
Jeff, a senior U.S. official tells us amid a global migration surge that the trafficking industry is booming. It's now a multi-billion-dollar business. And that's led to unprecedented trends at the U.S. southern border. But much of that begins here, 1,500 miles away in Chiapas, Mexico. An already stressed U.S. immigration system in new ways. We'll have more from that U.S.-Mexico border tomorrow.
On Wall Street, Dow Jones up, Nasdaq and S&P 500 down.
Wildfires in Texas have burned more than 1 million acres as firefighters continue to fight the blazes. Stephanie Tsai has our look at the long road ahead for farmers and ranchers in the Texas Panhandle.
Jeff, the Smokehouse Creek fire, the largest in the state's history, is now mostly contained, but not before it and other wildfires in the state inflicted major damage on the agriculture industry in the Panhandle.
Countries surrounding Haiti are meeting to discuss the Haiti future. Ramadan is started, but
amid many of the debates around entitlements and benefits, one thing often gets lost. That's that many people who qualify for help struggle to get and keep their benefits because it can be difficult to navigate the system. Economics correspondent Paul Salman looks at that challenge as part of our special series, America's Safety Net.
You want T2?
Single mom Morgan Wingate is eligible for food stamps. But getting them?
You think that you did everything you were supposed to do. Then you come to find out that you're supposed to be doing something else.
Jessica joins the team.
We're here because we're down already. You know, we don't make it any more painful than it already is.
After all, the safety net eligible just want to get what's supposed to be theirs. The PBS NewsHour, Paul Salman.
On Wall Street, Dow Jones up, Nasdaq and S&P 500 down.
President Biden travels to New Hampshire today, his latest trip to a battleground state, after he and former President Donald Trump held dueling rallies over the weekend. Mr. Trump mocked Biden's childhood stutter and pounced on the president, saying in an interview with MSNBC over the weekend that he regretted using the term illegal during his State of the Union address, described the suspected killer of the University of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley.
I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect.
He was an illegal migrant, and he shouldn't have been in our country, and he never would have been under the Trump policy. And Biden should be apologizing for apologizing to this killer.
Let's bring in our Politics Monday team. That's Amy Walter of the Cook Local Report with Amy Walter and Tamara Keith at NPR. It's great to see you both. And look, we should correct the record because President Biden never apologized to the alleged killer, as Donald Trump said. He never even apologized for using the word illegal. But Tam, the Biden campaign has been saying for weeks now that they want to draw
Oscar really nominations and
Walter,
winners.
Thanks as always for your analysis.
On Wall Street, Dow Jones up, Nasdaq and S&P 500 down. I am thankful to all news resources.
Now, an historic and epic achievement by an American woman that captured worldwide attention. Cole Brower became the first American woman to sail solo nonstop around the world last week. After finishing in Spain, Brower, who's 29 years old, joined a group of fewer than 200 people in the world who have ever done that. She was the only woman that participated this year in what's known as the Global Solo Challenge. Brower was able to stay in touch with her team by satellite.
The first American woman to race in the Vendée Globe in 2028.
Ramadan is started.
Well, we will be watching. Cole Brower, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
War in Gaza. More than 30,000 have died in Gaza. UN Secretary General appealed to Hamas and Israel.
And there's a lot more online, including a look at gun laws in Missouri after recent mass shootings in that state. That's at tbs.org/news.
Trump is trying to delay
and tune in tomorrow night when we'll have more from the U.S.-Mexico border with a look at how Arizona is handling an influx of migrants from around the world. And that is the News Hour for tonight. I'm Amna Abbas in Chiapas, southern Mexico.
Solo around the world. Oscar nominations and winners. On Wall Street, Dow Jones up, Nasdaq and S&P 500 down. I am thankful to all news resources.
Thank you for watching news and privilege of your time. This is Amir Shakil 5858. I am Amir.
GMT 700, March 12,
Have a
2024.
good life.
Immigrant situation at Mexico and Guatemala on border. Countries surrounding Haiti